and I am the inventor and CEO of Vegisan. And it is my pleasure to guide you a little bit through our technology about the ultra-dense nutrition tabs. The first part will be just a short product information, and then I will enter into the data world to give you a little background on how the tabs are produced and what they're based on. This presentation is not to be used in the public domain, so it's only used for internal information. So please enjoy, sit back, and if you will have any further questions, just address them to the person from whom you got this video. We will start in the year 2019, beginning in the first quarter, to introduce Vegisan to the UK market. So this will be just a little glimpse what it will be. In Germany we have already more than 100,000 users, and we look forward to enter into the English market. Yes, so what you will see now here on the first slide is that all our ingredients are plant-based. And there is a specialty about this, because when we today think about healthy food, and we think about superfood, and we also think about fruits and vegetables. So the big difference between our ultra-dense nutrient tabs and fruits and vegetables is that fruits and vegetables, they have usually about 80% water as a content. So, and water doesn't provide any nutrients and also no energy. So it doesn't really make sense to sell water and also carry water with you. This was actually the first point which inspired me to create a new type of food when a few years ago I wanted to go into Antarctica and to climb the highest mountain. And in Antarctica there is always cold, up to minus 40 or minus 50 degrees Celsius. And if you take an apple, the apple contains a lot of water, it will freeze. And I have to carry that frozen water up the mountain, and it will not provide me any value. So that was basically the starting point of the idea of Vegisan, to create a more compact food with all the nutrients for one day. So now looking a little bit into the whole story, what you can see here is that there are a lot of, we analyzed about 15,000 food ingredients. And the goal was to put everything in one single tab. Not so as some other companies may do this by adding synthetic vitamins or any artificial in the lab created nutrients. So we solely use nature, and we created a tab which includes all the nutrients which a normal healthy person needs for a day. And a very special point is that when you use 12 tabs, you will have around 1000 to 1200 calories a day with all the nutrients which you will need. So you will get an idea now that we have a lot of overweight people, and this will be a healthy, easy solution to solve a lot of problems which come with overweight. Yes, Vegisan began the idea to create a food that contains as many nutrients as possible with the lowest amount of calories. That was the challenge. After years of development, Vegisan has developed the world's first all-natural, ultra-dense nutrient tabs that do not require any synthetic additives or preservatives and meets all legal requirements for approval as a total diet replacement for weight control. We are produced in Switzerland, and we have our own plant. So, and we are, or we introduced this product to the Austrian market and to the German market for the last 2.5 years. And we did a lot of analytics and research on the products for the last 6 years. So with our product, we offer the consumer a very simple and effective solution to control calorie intake and lose weight in a healthy way. The ultra-dense nutrient tabs are particularly helpful for overweight people to start a new lifestyle, while for many others, they represent the simplest way to achieve their desired weight. Since the start of the production in February 2016, we have sold millions of tabs and have been steadily working to improve the business product collaboration with our partners. Our goal is to be the simplest solution for fighting overweight on a plant-based diet. Yeah, here you can still see our box, how it looked in the year 2018. We have news coming up. We will provide a new design, which you will see in 2019. But the ultra-dense nutrient tabs belong to the premium class of weight loss. It's called the total diet replacement for weight control. The law requires that these type of products need to be between 800 and 1200 kilocalories per day. In 2018, we managed that with 10 tabs, and each tab had about 25 grams. So now for 2019, we will have 12 tabs, but they will be smaller. But they still both provide 100% of the nutrient reference values. Yeah, here you can see some of our ingredients. We have a total of 53 ingredients, and they have been calculated and analyzed over the last 6 years, and they are developed with a software, and I will introduce that software a little bit later, so you can see what the fundamental basis of this product is, that it's all data driven and it's digitalized food, which we're very proud that we can use today's technology to create a better food for the future. The raw ingredients are preserved by gentle dehydration and compacted into tabs. They range between 21 and 25 grams, so actually it's 22 and 25 grams, which we will introduce in the first quarter of 2019. We freshly produce each tab upon order, and the tabs have a minimum shelf life of 8 weeks. They will last much longer, but the omega-3 fatty acids, they will still keep the full 2 grams after 8 weeks. Each tab is individually packaged and easy to use everywhere, especially if you go for sports or if you're traveling, or if you're just going for work. It's an easy way to keep the tab in your pocket, and it will provide you with nutrients which you will need, and also with the calories so that you don't get hungry. So what you can see here is the usual way how most of the people think when they think about healthy food. They think about vegetable and fruits. There's usually nothing wrong, but what is a fact is that 80% is water. The other 20%, if we dry those fruits, for example, then we get a lot of carbohydrates, and that is, most of them is fructose, at least on the fruit side. The vegetable part usually contains a lot of minerals and nutrients as well, but it would be very hard to get a full combination of all the fruits and vegetables to get you through the day. Actually, you would need to eat between 2,000 and 3,000 calories, and it would take about 3 to 4 kilograms of fruits and vegetables so that you would have all the nutrients which you need for the day. And usually that would also provide you with about 2,000 until 3,000 calories. So weight loss on a healthy way with fruit and vegetables is possible, but it takes a lot of knowledge how to do it, so that for example, you're not missing any vitamins, for example, vitamin B12 or vitamin D or some other ingredients which, if you do that for a longer time, may not improve your health. So Here we came up with the idea to reverse that whole situation, because we are interested in the nutrients and in a special type of energy. And that is also special, that when we take the water out, the shelf life is much better than with fruits and vegetables, which usually we throw a lot of them away. 60% of fruits and vegetables we usually throw away. And we believe it's a better way to preserve them by putting the water out first, and then we'll get a better shelf life. Yes, everything what the user needs to do if he decides to use the tabs as a total meal or total diet replacement, you can do that up to 3 weeks. And we already had people, they did it for 200 days, controlled by doctors, checking the blood every 4 weeks, and with amazing results. So all we need to add is a little water during the day, so between 1.5 and 2 liters of water. That's the ideal way. Only the taps and water, that's all you need. We are certified quality and scientifically evidence-based, based on the newest regulatory orders, which are valid in the European Union, and I still believe that they are the same in the UK, but we will check on that when we introduce the product to the market. We can also adjust our product to the specific market because of our software. So it's specifically designed for people who want to lose weight. The ultra-dense nutrient tabs are designed for people who should or want to lose weight in a meaningful and healthy manner. They are not suitable for underweight people, at least not for the weight loss. They still could use them as a normal tab to provide nutrition. So the recommendation for use for overweight people is to start for 4 to 20 days. And we have now 12 different flavors, all based on our ultra-dense nutrient technology. And so it is also easy to mix different flavors, so it makes it easy to go for 4 to 20 days. It takes 1 or 2 days to adjust, but then people experience that they will have good energy, that it's getting easier and easier every day. You're moving into the special diet. We also have a lot of normal weight people, and they usually use it 4 times a year for 4 to 20 days, or they use it just as a meal replacement, or they just use it as snacks. Yes, here you can see a good friend of mine on the left side when I met him first. And his name was Gogo, that's his name. His real name is Goran, and he is a production manager in a big plant, and he was very unhappy with his life. He had like 192 kilograms, and he has 2 children, and he really was unhappy with his life because he had a lot of pain in his back and in his knees, and he couldn't play soccer with his young son. And he came to me and said he lost his real life. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, he was really sad and he was depressed, and so and he asked me if I could help him. I said, yes, all you need to do is make a decision, change your life, and go plant-based, and do that for a few days, and then when it's going well for you, then continue doing it. And so he did it for 200 days, and I'm so proud. He never ate anything else, and he got better and better and better, and he lost almost 80 kilograms. I don't know how much it is, but I can tell you it's almost half of his body weight, and he was really heavy. And on the right side, you can see here also a completely transformed person after 10 months. And so this just proves that it is possible also to do it longer, but by law here in Europe we are required to recommend only 3 weeks, but that's probably due because of that, yeah, companies who are offering similar types of diets, they could also do that with synthetic vitamins. And it might be that these 3 weeks are required because those synthetic vitamins, they don't work the same way as nature does. But we have the biological proof that our product works safe and great for men and women, also for longer period than these 3 weeks. Exercise while using the tabs, I can guarantee from my own experience that it is possible to climb the highest mountain in Antarctica, which takes around 11 days in the whole expedition, and I never used more than 900 kilocalories per day. And so it is absolutely possible to make exercise. So despite the low calorie diet, one can also exercise during the application. The prerequisite is that the exercise sessions are low to moderate intensity. Intense exercise is not recommended due to the possibility risk of overtraining. So it is possible to do training, and we also recommend it. Yeah, as I already mentioned, an extreme test, the ascent of the highest mountain in Antarctica. Here you can see me on Union Glacier with my package in the hand. That was our package in 2016. That is the short introduction about the tabs, and now I would like to show you the data information. So what I do now here is I'm using the data of an apple, and I can show you now how our system works in terms of how our philosophy looks like. So, and I apologize for that it's in German. I try my very best to give you an idea how our system works. And the first thing what you will recognize here is that we calculate every food item, and we have about 15,000 in our database. And to make them comparable to each other, we convert them into 100 kilocalorie energy. So we don't believe it makes sense to compare 100 grams with each other, because there are some foods they have a lot of water inside, and it would not be fair to that type of food to compare how much nutrients they have in 100 grams. So it makes more sense to do it in 100 calories, because our body needs those calories to keep warm and to get the energy. So this will give you an idea how much energy is in 100 calories. Special, not how much, because that is defined by the 100 calories, but what type of sugar. So there are a few different types of sugars which I want to show you here. This is basically the sugar content included in an apple. So what you can see here is that 50% of the carbohydrates is fructose, which is a sugar usually digested in the liver. And you have about 18% of glucose, which is the main source of energy for our brain or for our nerve system, also for the blood. And then we have the sucrose, which is basically a type of sugar, contains one molecule of fructose and one molecule of glucose. So there's one good part in it and one part which is not as usable for the brain. That is the fructose. And then there are other types of sugar. What is very important if we look on a sugar profile is that there are sugars, they go fast into your bloodstream, and there are sugars, they take a little bit more time, and then there are sugars, they take much more time. When I say much more time, we're talking about between 15 and 60 minutes. But if you look at this profile, this sugar profile, you can now put that into a graph where you can see here the distribution of that sugar into the bloodstream. Here you can see between 10 and 90 minutes, and The red line which you see here, that is actually the calculated blood sugar. As soon as this line will pass the insulin secretion line, we call it, it's based on 4.6 millimole, which equals to 83 milligrams per deciliter blood. That means that the concentration is about 4.31 grams of glucose every 5.2 liters of blood. And that is believed that when you get more sugar into your bloodstream, for example, if you drink an energy drink with a lot of sugar, then this would go up. And now I will show you that what will happen, because at this stage we don't have with 100 calories with an apple, we don't have the requirement of insulin, which is a hormone helping to lower the glucose level, which is the sugar form in our blood. In this type, 100 calories are 164 grams of a normal apple. Of course, there are apples, they deliver a little bit more sugar and a little bit more energy and a little bit less, but this is just a calculated size of an apple to give you an idea of how much you would need to get 100 calories. So, but since we cannot go into a shop and order 164 grams of apple, we just simulate that this apple could have 200 grams. And so I will show you now what will happen if we go and buy an apple and eat that apple. That apple now with 200 grams starts to deliver too much sugar, and so the body needs to react to store that sugar and transform it into fat. So if sugar is transformed into fat, which will usually happen in this case, then there is one very important issue that our brain needs 6 to 7 grams of glucose every hour, day and night. So now imagine you're getting sugar and that sugar is converted into body fat. Then there is one problem with that. Body fat cannot be converted back to glucose, to sugar. So the only way our body, when we are on a low-carb diet, to produce sugar is to use the protein, the muscle. So the body is in a position to start making sugar from protein again. It's called the alanine circle. It's used the amino acid alanine to produce, then start the production of sugar. So if our brain is without sugar, that's a very dangerous situation. We would die in a very short period. So there's a high priority for the body to maintain the blood sugar in a certain level. So you understand now a little bit that we are taking care about sugar, because we believe that sugar is good if you're not eating too much. And with too much, we don't need on the end of the day. But we believe that the portion, the size of the portion, is very important. In our case, we would recommend also for person who have diabetes to reduce the size and only eat 100 calories in this case, or 164 grams. So as you can see now, we're taking a lot of attention on the right energy, that the right energy comes into the bloodstream, and while being in the bloodstream, providing the brain and the nerve system with a source of energy. But now we want to see that also there need to be nutrients in those 100 calories. So what you will see here now is that we are actually in this case having this 164 grams, which you can see here. Now we look how many vitamins we have in 100 calories. And so here you can see basically on the left side that this would add up around 10% of the daily nutrient reference values. So if you're eating 100 calories, you would have around 13% of fiber. You would have vitamin E around 7%. You would have vitamin K 13%. You would miss vitamin B12. You would miss sodium. You would miss chloride. You would miss zinc. So saying an apple a day keeps the doctor away, that is an old saying, more than 100 years old. So if one apple is healthy, it would allow the question, are 10 apples then more healthy? And you can see that here it doesn't make sense if you look on this graph, because all you would do if you add, let's say, 1000 calories on apple, you would still miss vitamin B12, which you can see here. You would still miss vitamin D, and you could even eat 20 apples, you would not have those nutrients. So it's very important to mix your foods and keep a balanced diet, which is very difficult because most people, they don't know what nutrients they are missing. So that is basically the goal, to provide a good balance in these graphs. So, but now we do something else. We look on food in a way that every food can also be bad for your body. Just imagine sodium, salt. You know, there are a lot of people, they say salt, is it good, is it bad? One fact for sure, if we don't eat salt, it's not going to work for our body. So we need salt, but we don't need too much salt. So you need to know the exact amount. There is a lot of science evidence, and it's also regulated by law how much salt we need. And then there are other nutrients which we know that they have a so-called NOAEL value, no observed adverse effect level. So that means that also vitamins which we believe they are good for us, they can also they could also create some difficulties in our body if we eat too much of them. So not only the vitamins could be difficult for our body, also if the balance is not right. If we eat, let's say, too much salt in relation to the potassium, it could affect our system, special the system to put energy into our cells, because there needs to be a balance between potassium and salt. So what you see here is that we could, and I have to change this, I apologize, because this will just show the right amount, because we could eat, in this case, 164 grams, and if we would eat, let's say, 2 kilograms, we would have 1200 calories, but we would have a lot of fructose in our body. And even if we would eat 1200 calories, which is basically the level for a low energy diet, you should be between 800 and 1200 calories. Let's say we are on the upper level with 1200. What you see here now is how many of the daily nutrients you would get from a fully apple-based diet. In this case, you'll see there's a lot of nutrients missing. So it would not make sense to make a diet only with apple. But I hope I was able to give you an idea about how it visually looks. And since a few years, we could also look on an apple a different way, based on health claims, as we use them in Europe. We could also analyze this apple based on how healthy that apple is, and for this there are a few parameters which I need to switch now here, makes it easier to understand it. So here you see that if a food item, the analysis, if a food item has 30% of the daily value of nutrients in 100 grams, it's considered to be a superfood, or it's considered to be a nutrient dense or a high nutrient dense food. And we would, the law allows us then to make some nutrient and health claims. So that's the full idea. There is another value which we could use, that is the 15% per 100 gram. That's called a dense food. It's not a very dense, but a dense food. So, and now you understand a little bit the concept about how it works, and now we start to go back into the beginning. And so now I would like to choose a different type of food. So now I would use, let's say, we would look at, let's take meat. Let's take a fillet. And now we would use, and I would want to show you how a fillet of cow looks in comparison to an apple. So here you can see that, again, in 100 calories, there is no sugar. So now you understand that this fillet doesn't provide our brain in the first place any easy accessible energy. So our brain might need then to convert that protein, which is in this type of meat, back into sugar. So we recommend rather eating a small part of sugar than eating a cow. But we can now analyze how much of nutrients are in a fillet. Here you can see, or in meat, we'll just call it meat from now on, it's easier. So, of course, now we know in meat we'll get the vitamin B2, but we don't get the vitamin K, we don't get the vitamin C, we don't get a few other items, we don't get a lot of vitamin A. So it wouldn't make sense to eat only meat. And if we look onto the level, how much, or what would happen if we would eat 1 kilogram of meat, which provides us with 1,200 calories. By the way, in Switzerland, if you would order 1 kilogram of meat, it would set you back with 100 euro. It's very expensive in Switzerland. And you only would get 1,200 calories, and this is how your nutrient balance during the day would look like. So you would not get a lot of, you would get different types of nutrients, but not a full profile. Also, if we would look how healthy that food is, actually we can also look, see it in this picture. This is the level of 100%. This should be the goal. And you would get with 1 kilogram, or I'm sorry, here you will see in 100 grams you get a lot of amino acids, but the rest you will not get a lot. So that's now the idea between the comparison of an apple and meat. So, and now I want to show you how Vegisan, the Vegisan tabs, compare to this concept. Of course, we could use now also sugar and show how sugar looks like. Sugar has actually not a lot of nutrients, it has only energy. Okay, so now we use the Vegisan data and our tab, I need to adjust it a little bit, has 22 grams. It's the pure tab. And what you see now, that we have a beautiful designed blood sugar curve. And if you would be interested now, a lot of people with diabetes are interested in how that sugar profile looks like. And this I want to show you now. What the beauty is that we don't have any fructose in it. So we have glucose, which is 22%, and the glucose is a sugar form. It's a single sugar, which goes fast into the bloodstream, but since we only have 22% of the energy based on glucose, it will only give you a small peak, and then we have 27% maltose, which is basically a double sugar based on two glucose molecules, and that takes a little bit more time than the single sugar, so this slows down a little bit the curve. And then we have starch, we have oligosaccharides and polysaccharides, and that gives a very smooth distribution of that sugar, and the body doesn't get into stress to use any hormones to balance the blood sugar. So here you see that a lot of transparency is in our system, and actually we developed 360 parameters. And for this, apologize, I have to go back now to show you again the meat, to show you based on 360 criterias that meat is not meeting a lot of them. So everything you see red here is based on the food science, evidence-based food science, which that meat doesn't provide a lot of these criteria. So the idea is to get as many as possible of these criteria to 100%. So what does a criteria mean? Let's say if we look on the meat, I can show you, let's say here is a value on criteria 55, says 82%, then we'll go to criteria 55, apologize, I have to go up here, and we'll go to 55, 55 would say, and apologize it's not in English, we will translate that one day, 55 would say that we recommend a maximum of 1.5 gram on fatty acids. So that is basically, this food type has 1.83 gram and therefore has more fatty acids, saturated fatty acids, I apologize, those are the saturated fatty acids. So meat has 1.8 and the recommendation is on 1.5. So now going back, I want to now show you again how our food works. For this I go back to the test, just get back the data of the, so we have 22 grams, and with 22 grams we have no insulin secretion. And what you can see now here is how much food can we eat. The only limit is in this case the potassium. So potassium is a mineral, it's a very good mineral, but we also recommend not to overdose. So, and if we are eating 1000 calories of this type of food, what you can see here now is that we meet every single of the nutrients which our body needs during the days, and that's based on 1000 calories. And that's a real paradigm shift in plant-based food. So, and we achieved that everything by this database. So I hope I could give you a little idea. And for ending this, I want to show the healthy part. It's every single parameter is here on 30% per 100 grams, which is that we're the mother of all superfoods. If you want to say this in layman terms, superfood is actually, it's not something we would call us. We are science based and evidence based, so we are far beyond any superfood, and we still also have a lot of we have more nutrients than which we can analyze, because there are also plant-based special types of nutrients which the science world still hasn't discovered. But since we are using only raw food, and not only raw food, but most of the nutrients come from the raw parts of the food, which we especially searched to maintain those nutrients. So that's also something that means that we provide actually more than 100% of the nutrient reference values. So yes, it was only a little introduction into what will come. And again, I apologize so that I only could show you these little presentations in German language, but we will provide this in the near future, hopefully in a little film, to make it for you more easy and also much shorter. So thank you for your time, and I hope it will help you to get interested in this type of food, and you might also just try it yourself, maybe for 10 or 11 days, as I did it in Antarctica, and impressed the whole experts, because nobody believed that I would be able to climb Mount Vinson. And I was actually, out of 19 people in my group, I was the first to reach the top. And so this was, and I can tell you, I never had any problem with energy. I felt amazing. And so I wish that you make your own experience with this type of food. And I'm looking forward to maybe meet you in the near future. I wish you all the best, and much love. Thank you and goodbye.